It is so important to have an accurate, balanced understanding of stress. There was one study, for example, that two groups of people were put into severely stressful circumstances, and one group had attended a workshop prior to it that had told them, based on the scientific evidence, that stress is really great for the body. How when you're under a certain kind of stress, your mind is sharper than ever, your immune system thrives. In fact, our cells can sometimes even age backwards. That's called stress rejuvenescence. There are all these fantastic impacts of stress on human physiology. And so people who were told about those benefits, when they were put in the super stressful situation and they measured their immune system, their blood sugar, their ability to perform on tests, they thrived. And then there was another group who was put under the exact same stressful circumstances, but they had attended a workshop that taught them all the negative impacts of stress on their mind, their physiology. And then they subjected them to that stress and tested them. And that group had all these terrible markers, even though they were in exactly the same circumstance. So, what we believe about stress is very, very important. And it's so important to also be able to start to discern when is stress the kind of stress that actually brings out the very best in humans. And even crises do that. We come together, we're charged, we come up with solutions, and not to negativize that, because for some of us, because there's been so much stress with COVID and all the other things in the world, that we start to be on like this stress doom loop where we start to be anxious about just the stress everywhere versus seeing how it actually strengthens us. But there is also a toxic kind of stress. Say that if we have a really toxic leader that we're working with, or a toxic work culture, or we're experiencing poverty or discrimination, injustice, those are specific kind of stresses that it is much harder for people to thrive unless, for example, they rally because of it and they decide, that's it, I'm going to do something about this. And then again, brings out our best.